This is going to be the second one of our videos, and we were doing slowly through 9 different floats the Magic Happens Parade in Papercraft. These are available from the Disney parks, but you also can come pick them up here at the library. So this float is featuring Maui and Pua. And like I said, we're going to keep doing them because, you can't have a parade until you have several floats. So when you're done, you can link them together and slowly you'll be able to have your parade going. So today, float number 2, Maui and Pua. When you come pick them up at the library, we've got the paper for you. So you've got all of your instructions. You have your page to color and cut out. Remember, we're going to cut out solid lines, and dotted lines are for our folding. And then we've got attached to it our pieces that we are going to need for making our wheels roll. You are going to need a few supplies at home. A lot of this, you're going to want to go with a glue stick. The nice thing with a glue stick, it is sticky faster, but it might not be quite as strong. So you can go either way, but if you wanted to kind of hold a little faster, glue stick. Otherwise, regular glue. You're going to need your scissors. And we've been doing colored pencil just because I think you can get some better shading and less bleed through on your pages. So that's everything you're going to need to be able to make the Maui and Pua float from the Magic Happens Parade. So step 1, you're going to need to color. And that's what makes this such a great craft activity for the whole family. Is you can have your little ones do the coloring, or everybody can color a different piece and then have your float all come together as a family. Whatever works the best. So the page of things we have to color is we've got the palm tree, we've got the base of the float, we have the wheel covers, there's 4 of those, and then this is the pedestal that Maui and Pua are going to be on, and then you've got your 2 characters. So step 1, get to coloring. I'm going to get started. So I'm just starting to do my coloring here, and once I get all my pieces colored, I am going to be cutting out the pieces. Again, we are going to cut on the solid lines, and we are going to use the dotted lines for folding. I always do my coloring before I cut out because I figure if I have an oopsie moment, it saves my table from getting colored on. But whatever you would like, I just find it a lot easier to go through and do all my coloring. So we're going to get this colored and we're going to get it cut out, and then we'll be ready for our next step. So you can see I've got all my parts colored and I have everything cut out. So I've got Maui and Pua. I've got the base that they're going to sit on. This is kind of a base that goes along the bottom of the parade float. This is the actual float everything's going to sit on, and the palm tree because it's got to be very tropical, and a little bit of rocks, flowers, all kinds of stuff to make it look good. We are going to start at the bottom, work our way up. So we're going to start with the base. So we have our dotted fold lines right there. So I'm going to fold down on all my dotted lines here. So we got side 1. Don't forget to fold down those little flaps. And then I'll fold it kind of back out again. Side 2. I'm going to fold it back out again. Side 3, including my little flap there, and side 4, which should give us everything's got a good fold line on it. And then the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to want to make this into a box. So we're going to fold the sides. I'm going to turn it over, make it a little bit easier to work with here. But on those little tabs on both sides, there's 4 of those little tabs. I'm going to get my glue stick, get those nice and gluey, get this folded together. So first tab, fold it up, and stick it together. Now remember, you want those tabs to be on the bottom side because you didn't cut, those are not the pretty ones. So we're going to fold the one side like that, make a nice corner. Then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. And fold it up to make a nice corner. And like I said, the good thing about the glue stick is it does stick kind of quick. So we've got the base for our parade float. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to make the wheels. Now I did show you last week for making the wheels. We've got our straws, which are going to come right through there. And through the straws, we've got 2 sets of toothpicks that are going to go through. And then you have these sets of wheel covers that you colored. And those are actually the wheels that will be rolling. Now the easiest thing is to, as gently as possible, and I know it's going to get a little squished, is to poke a hole through the wheels with your toothpicks. Now I know some of you, since you're at home, if you have some other craft supplies you can get out, you could use like a needle if you've got a sewing needle and make that hole to start. You could get a push pin and start the hole, or you can just push it through with the toothpick. Any of them will work. Do it as gently as you can to make that hole for the wheel to go on. So just like I did there, I just pushed it through. Now I will say, once we get this pushed through, we're going to put dots of glue, and we are going to use our scissors to cut off the tips of this. I definitely suggest this is something that the grown-ups do. Now grown-ups, it is possible and not too terribly tough to cut it with the scissors, but if you happen to have some wire cutters, that actually works even easier for being able to push through. Now I'm going to just pre-poke my hole on here so that I get my wheels out as gently as possible. My first hole went through so nicely. Now I know I've got to get it through the straw. I just figured it was a little easier to pre-poke my holes. I'm going to put it right through the straw, just like that. Make sure it's the right size to fit in there. And then we'll be able to cut it off. Now, I will say one of the things that I am going to do before I glue all the wheel parts together is I am going to tape my straw in here. And I forgot to mention that you are going to need some tape. So we're going to pause real quick while I go get the tape because I wasn't thinking. So we're back with the one supply I forgot to tell you to get, which is your tape. And we are going to need the tape for taping our axles in. So first thing we're going to do is we are going to have those 2 straw pieces. Make sure it's a big enough piece. I find it's a lot easier to put the tape on my straw, not on my parade float. And then kind of gently put my axle where it's going to go and do one side of the tape at a time, all the way good and down in there. And I know the other side you're going to kind of just have to really squish it down in here. This is something, if your little ones are delicate, they can definitely help with because they've got smaller fingers. I got pretty big fingers, so I'm just working on trying to get my fingers out of the way. But you can see I just taped my axle in, so it's ready for the wheel assembly to go through. And then I'm going to tape my second one in there. Same thing, I'm going to get myself a nice good piece of tape. Get it started. Not in my float. side with my tape. And then the other side with my tape. Oops. I had it down and popped up and held onto my nail. See if I can get it in there. The good and the bad parts of tape. Trying to get it to be right where I wanted it to be, which it was until it stuck onto my nail and didn't stay. There we go. I got it down in there now. Okay, so we've got those all ready to go. I've got my wheel punched out through the toothpick. Gonna put side one, just put it right through. And I poked my hole with my toothpick on my wheels. And I'm going to, now like I said, you can do this with the scissors, which I did do last week. This week I'm gonna try doing it with my little clipper here. I think it's gonna go a little, ooh, definitely a little easier if you happen to have one at home. And then, don't forget, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put that dotted glue in there, because I actually had my wheel fall off because I didn't put my dotted glue yet. I was thinking I would do them all at once. Dot, dot, dot. So here we go with a nice good dotted glue right around that wheel, and a dot on this side around the wheel. And the nice thing is this is going to get a chance to dry while we are making the rest of our float. I'm going to put the one wheel through. I think I'm going to give it a little snip beforehand. Maybe I'll make a little less of a mess. I think by the time we get to float number 8, I'm going to be so good at making this without making a mess. We will see. So I'm going to actually try doing the glue first. Put it right on through there. Put my wheel on. Nice and gentle. Roll that wheel on. And get my little wheel and get a snip. I probably should have snipped it first, because now I'm going to get glue in my scissors, which is not so good, but I can clean them later. And yep, got glue in my scissors. I'm going to let this sit to the side while we work on the next one. So like I said, we're going to go from the bottom, work our way up. So we're going to start with the pedestal that Maui and Pua are sitting on. So you've got the circle for the top. You've got some tabs we're going to glue. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to fold down all of my tabs so they're ready to get glue. It's always easier to pre-fold things and then fluff them back up, but before they get all gluey. Now, the ones that's got 2 dots and a line, you're folding down. The ones that are solid, kind of a line there, we are folding up. Even though I will say, you know, hopefully you didn't cut those tabs off, because those are what's going to help glue this down to the float so it doesn't fall off. So I'm going to take and I'm going to put glue on all of these tabs right here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then I'm going to try to, I'm going to do this down. I think I tried doing this in, oh, you know what, I didn't fold this one. Oh, gotta fold them all. And I'm gonna work my way around the circle, pushing down those tabs until I have a nice base all made for my float. Before I finish up and I have where I can't reach it, I'm going to get glue on this one here on the end, because otherwise I won't be able to get to it to glue it. And I'm just just gonna keep working my way all the way around and get that one in there. So we've got our nice ring glued, we've got all of our tabs glued down, and then those two tabs are going to glue it down to the float so that it stays. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to work on this base here. So you can see you made flowers on one side and this side's kind of plain. So this side's going to be the back and this is going to face more towards the front. Now we have to go around this. We have our tree, which we're just going to fold this in half. We have our tree that's going to go there. And then we also have our rock base that's going to go. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to glue our tree together. Now, again, one thing that I didn't even think about and I didn't notice, I didn't cut all my lines. So I'm going to go through real quick and I'm going to cut out this last little bit of the tree. If you have an oopsie like me, it's easy enough. It's just paper folding, just a craft. It's always got to just be fun. I know some people worry about if they miss a step, if they mess stuff up, but everything can be fixed. It's no big deal. So just go back. Snip that part of the tree out. I'm going to give it a little glue on the inside. Hold this together nicely. Kind of makes it a little extra strong by having the two double-sided. So now I've got a nice double-sided palm tree, and I am going to glue, I'm going to cover up that seam that I am going to glue my palm tree right there to the back. You can see my flowers are going to be facing towards the front. Good squish there. Make sure it kind of goes nice and around the shape of the base. And this base is a little plain, so that's actually why we have all of these rock details. We are going to glue this right around the base. We put the palm tree on first, so that way you're kind of going to be able to overlap the edges as you go around. So I'm going to just put my glue, actually I'm going to do it the easy way. I'm going to put the glue on the flat part. I almost put it on the round part. It made my life harder. Make your life easy, put the glue on the flat part, and then work it. So we are going to just start with one side and just wrap it nice and around your base. Make sure all your glue is kind of squished down. Tuck anything that needs tucking. And you can see that way you've got a little interesting shape to the base for our float. And now we've got just a couple of pieces left. This is actually going to go underneath this pedestal. Again, just kind of add a little color. So this one's just we're going to fold it up. And then the last two pieces after we've got this one is our Maui. I'm going to fold his little tab here. And our, where is he? There he is. And our Pua. Again, I'm just going to fold his little tab. And now we are ready to start assembling from the bottom, working our way right on up. Now we have our base that's going to go down. This one's going to sit on our base. Now I will say this would be one of the pieces that if you would like to, you could have colored both sides on this, because you're going to see just the tiniest bit and just the tiniest bit. So if you want to color around the edge, you can. If you don't, it's up to you. It's very rare that we're going to actually color both sides of things. So what I am first going to do is we had those two little tabs on our pedestal. I am going to take and I'm going to glue those tabs down. Again, make sure I get a good amount of glue so that it stays good and solid. And I'm going to get that right in there. I'm going where I can get my fingers in to get those tabs good and solid glued down. Now you can fold those up. And I'm going to make sure that I hold it long enough for it to set. You can fold those up if you want. Otherwise, you can also hit them with a little bit of glue and fold them in so that they have little glue points to the pedestal. I'm going to do one or two of those just to make sure it's staying extra good, because it is a pretty tall tree there, and I figured tall trees need lots of support, so I'm going to do that with two of those. It's completely up to you what you want to do as far as that goes. And then we have for the top, we have our Maui is going to go up there and our Pua, but first I'm going to put this on the base. Now, I will say, since I want this to be a little bit stronger, I am going to go with my actual regular glue. I'm going to put that right on the base. I also figure with regular glue, sometimes you don't have to push down as hard. So I'm going to take, I'm going to lay that right on there, make sure it's is good and set. I'm going to take my Maui, and again, just because I want to be as delicate as possible, because I'm starting to get kind of tall, I'm going to put him right. I think that's a good spot for him, right on top of the float, waving at the crowds. And then I got my little pig Pua here, and I'm going to put him right next to Maui, looking at everybody on the parade route. You have to decide where you want them to go. And before you start playing with them, give everything a little chance to dry. Now, I did have the suggestion last time, if mom and dad, if you've got like a needle and thread, one of the best things that I think, especially once we're all done, is if we take and make a little hole in the back. If you made your Sorcerer Mickey, tie a knot, run that needle and thread right through there. Then once Maui's dry, give it a few inches, and we'll be able to run that string through there. And then when we make our next one, we'll be able to do that. And if you put that string coming from the front, we'll be able to pull, and we'll be able to actually have our parade run down your table or wherever you'd like to go. So this is float number 2, Mine Needs to Dry, with Maui and Pua ready to join our parade. I hope you have a good day. Hope you enjoy doing this as a family, and pretty soon we'll have our next float. Have a good day. Bye.